This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
Every moment of being alive is truly a miracle, an opportunity to open and receive the blessing of discovering the most intimate relationship we will ever have. Once we are here and have sufficiently landed our spirit down into the holy flesh and bones of our human experience, real life begins. The life of this present moment is then not only here to be experienced, we also get to participate, contribute, and respond with more and more agency. We get to discover how to wield the gentle art of stewarding a genuine life. We are not just here to merely survive the awakening process. We also inherited a deeper potential from the wisdom miracle of our origins, and that is to thrive. Being of service and benefiting the whole that we now recognize we are intrinsically one with becomes the primary motive. The kiss that we have always wanted becomes the kiss that we are now able to give. Not the overriding spiritual bypass, make nicety nice, hide and seek, appease and kiss-ass kiss, but the kiss of integrity that lands and reverberates as a benediction, a prayer and confirmation of the real. No matter what fates we have been given, inherent in our birth is the opportunity of a lifetime to receive, allow, and evolve the mystery of being human by being love itself. Valeria Teles interviews Isjaya Summers. She is a teacher, author, speaker, the creative catalyst in the field of psycho-spiritual somatic integration, and the creatrix of core embodiment. For the last 27 years, Isjaya Summers has been instrumental in facilitating conscious evolution in thousands of people's lives. She designs and facilitates training programs for professionals, leads retreats, and offers both live and online group platforms for organizations that are ecologically regenerative, socially just, and spiritually connected. All of her programs are grounded in science, expanded through devotional practice, and made real through direct experience. Isjaya is the founder of a unique somatic discovery process called core embodiment, an integrated system of embodiment practices, principles, and perceptual orientations to awaken and align with the power of your human potential. She is a certified biodynamic craniosacral integration teacher, a NARM practitioner, neuroaffective relational model, as well as an authorized continuum teacher. Meet Isjaya at isjayasummers.com and coreembodiment.com. Here is the interview with Isjaya Summers.
In your own words, who is Isjaya Summers?
Hello. Thank you, Valeria. Who is Isjaya Summers? Well, that is quite a question to begin with. I guess the truest answer would be, I don't know. I'm an unfolding mystery to myself. But I find myself most intimately in an experience of being in this body, in this time, in this location on planet Earth, where it seems that I'm used quite well in terms of sharing with others how they too can be intimate with who they are on the deepest level. I would say that's my life devotion and passion. And it's also what I invite others to explore with me.
I love that. I love that answer, of course. And how did you come to this understanding, realization, spiritual knowledge, I would say?
You know, I think I can remember as just when I was a child, a similar intimacy with nature, with being in my body, looking out from my eyes, feeling the touch of my own hands, kind of being in the curiosity and the wonder of what am I and what is all this? And so I feel like there's a thread I can remember as far back as my earliest memories of just that essential innocence of being. And so I think over the years, of course, that's become, matured in some ways or refined, or I've gone through human journeys and experiences and struggles. But I would say that essential just wonder and curiosity of being.
I often wonder why some of us come to realize that we have this deep and sincere curiosity and openness about what this is that we call life. And some of us never ask these questions. They either keep them suppressed or they lose touch with that. Do you wonder why that happens and how it happens?
Sure. I think that kind of belongs to the realm of just how vast infinite space and time is, and that we don't know, in terms of the vantage point on a soul level, if it's true that we live many incarnations. There may be some souls that are just younger in their journey, and some, you hear that phrase, being an old soul. So I do think there's some truth to that there's an inevitability of all being, of all consciousness, waking up to what it is. And some of us are very seasoned, and some of us are newer. And I think there's just different interests we have in each incarnation, or different learnings, or, sort of soul curriculum that we're up to.
Another question I have for you is the initial question. It's about the purpose of life. This is something that so many people, we talk here a lot about purpose, and I have asked so many times what is the purpose of life and what is the purpose of each one of us? What are we doing here, as you talked about old souls and younger ones? So let me ask you an open question. If life had one purpose only, what would that be from your perspective?
I think if we really boil it down to the most pith answer, it's just to be love and to receive love, to just be the love. And, I think if I could extrapolate on that a little bit, that's already true and already who we are. But I think the journey of embodying that through, in a way, making medicine of our wounds, our traumas, are, sort of like an alchemical language, taking the dark, or the fecund, the dross of our lives, and discovering the great work, discovering how to alchemize it and into the love, into that greater presence that is that which does not come and go. And
that sounds wonderful to me. Just listening to you, the mind tries to visualize what that looks like, but it can't really see anything. It resonates true. Going back to that place that it's basically no duality, no two. And I often also wonder what it looks like. I have seen a lot of spiritual teachers, not too many, of course, but Ramana Maharaji, I think his name was, if I pronounced that correctly, that by being in that state, it was just, for him, was almost losing touch with the physicality of being a human, which for him had been forgotten even, or he was so immersed with the one that anything that could be described as separation, as two, it could not be perceived by him. So I wonder how many of us can do that. And if we can do that, we can do both, live non-duality and duality at the same time without losing the body.
I think that's really the evolution, if you will, of where we are spiritually now. I think when Ramana was alive at that time, in general, the spirituality on the planet was much more that kind of guru model. And this enlightenment was perceived as what you're describing, like a total negation of body, of mind, of self, and this kind of transcendent, hyper masculine. I think nowadays we would call that kind of awakening. But I think in the decades since then, there's a natural process of evolution it's almost like you can think of that time as the movement towards an ascension, a transcendent kind of ascension. And I think now it's a lot about this reverse, in a way, a descending or a coming back into form and a reclamation of the body, the mind, the heart, the humanness, our needs, our feelings. Yes, as separate, autonomous, sovereign individuals. And that it's inclusive of what you were describing, that non-dual, undifferentiated, pure awareness. But I think that it's not really fulfilled until it comes back home and fully blossoms inside of the human heart and into the human body and into the human life. So I see that more as what's alive at this time in terms of that natural evolutionary process.
I often also wonder, how could not duality come from non-duality? How could something that cannot be split did it? It's almost, I call it the impossible. I mean, it is impossible. We can't really split, which makes this now here talking to you and everything that's around me and you not real.
Well, I guess that's one way. I love your questions and I guess that's one way. But, maybe it's great. I think that I sometimes, I've been so informed and impacted and affected by, I guess, I spent a lot of years in the teachings and with the teachers that you're referring to. And I think, in my experience, it was like I would go on long meditation retreats or, have these awakenings of these non-dual experiences. But it wasn't until I started really studying embryology and in an experiential way, in an embodied way, that I started to really have some of those awakenings land more fully and also show me, I feel compelled to say when you ask that question of like, well, how could the one become the two? And therefore, is it not real? What I love to share with people is in embryology, the study of how we come into to being, in the formation of a human being. I tell this story often to my students, and I won't go into a long version right now, but I'll show pictures and slides to depict in a way our creation story. And I say often, I'll show a picture of what's often called the finger of God. It's a picture of from the Hubble spacecraft. And it's just this beautiful, the eye of God. And I say, we came through this non-dual, undifferentiated space of pure awareness. But to come into form, to come into biological consciousness, we enter through a sperm and an ovum. And so we enter into this realm where what we call the holy pairs is what gives rise to the dance that we call life. So we see it from that very beginning of our origins. We have masculine and feminine. We have dark and light. We have, hot and cold, all of the duality pairs. And if I was to go on and share what happens through the whole embryological process, we don't stop at 2. The 2 then explode into 1 again, and then they keep differentiating and subdividing and differentiating until there's, millions and millions and millions of cells that give rise to all the different tissues and organs and systems. But fundamentally, what's moving all of that, what's allowing that process is taking place from what you're saying, the mystery from in embryology, it's from the heart. The actual heartbeat itself is what's propelling all of this movement that's allowing these various shapes and forms to create what we call a human body. And there's obviously lots more details to that, but I feel like it has informed me in this way where I find it to be almost like the opposite. It's like there's nothing unreal that exists and only love is real.
Yeah, I love the part of the heart because that makes a lot of sense. So you never really split it. It's just the one happening, being many, the many. But there's no really separation. So the separation itself, the feeling of separation is the illusion. That might be it. But it's never 2. It's always here. The one is always here. It really resonates true, that part. If the mind really can grasp, which I don't think it can, but it tries.
The heart can experience, right? The heart can experience, the heart can feel these realities. And then eventually, I think the mind has its own awakening. But I think first it happens through the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, it resonates because the heart is a metaphor for love, for that one love that is real, the only thing that's real. Yes, 1 billion times to that. So you are a teacher and creative catalyst in the field of psycho-spiritual somatic integration. So how would you describe what you do, Isjaya?
Thank you. Well, there's so many ways I could answer that. I work individually with people, and I would say in that context, a lot of what I do, I would say I'm almost like I have this secret vocation as like a surrogate mother. I think I provide spaces for people to feel safe, to let go, to feel their feelings, to have an experience of a deeper contact with who they are. And then, in group settings, I also teach groups. I would say it's a similar intention on my part, only there's different ways I facilitate that. So I have bodies of work that come through my background in Continuum, where we work with sound, which is really audible breath. And when we tap into sound and audible breath, basically, we're reorganizing the signature of how we breathe and therefore how our emotions are stored in the body. And that often when we feel things that we don't want to feel, we repress our breath and we repress our tissues, and our diaphragms get tight, and, we kind of contort and get kind of locked up inside of ourselves. So a lot of the practices I do, we work with sound, we work with touch, and really it's freeing up the breath and freeing up the way we are organized so that our body, mind, heart can just simply be in more of a flow state, more of our natural congruency or coherence, where our head, our thoughts, in our heart, our feelings, as well as our gut brain, more of our instinctual center, can all be in rapport, can all be communicating. And that's really I would say what's unique about my work is that I'm always seeing and feeling and sensing into how that flow is happening for someone and where I can support them in facilitating their system to relax and to open so that flow can return and they can feel connected to themselves and their own experience of truth again.
Yeah. I love that. It sounds like it's a practice of devotion, isn't it, Isjaya? It sounds like to me. Devotion comes to mind for some reason. It's speaking to you. Describe what you do. Would you call it that as well, or just a practice?
Well, I think devotion is a really key ingredient. It's like if you're just doing a practice and it's mechanical and there's no devotion, then it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
There is a devotional quality of, I think when I ask my students or my clients, like, what do you want for yourself? Like I always will ask that, what do you really want for yourself? Either they know, and it's often this answer of, I want me, I want to know myself, I want to feel connected to myself, I want to feel at home in myself, or sometimes they're so fragmented, they don't even know what they want for themselves. And there's a process we need to go through to even find that and even feel worthy of it. But I think once people do, there is a devotional quality. It's almost like you have to make choosing yourself the most important thing, not from like a selfish narcissistic standpoint, and our culture would say, but really choosing like, oh, in this precious unknown amount of time I have here, I want me, I want to enter in to the most intimate embrace of my own presence. Because I think ultimately that's what nourishes and connects us with everything else in our lives, other humans, our other relationships, our work. If we're lacking that, then everything else can feel very disconnected.
Now might be the right moment to demonstrate, if you feel like it, Isjaya, how we can experience this, which you speak of, this deeper connection with our own presence. I love the way you said that. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, feeling our own presence, which it is the one. So talk to me about that. I know it's not just about a conversation; it's the experience. So I would love to feel that even deeper, if I can.
Yeah, beautiful. Yes, let's we'll just do a very brief take a moment here to just have an experience, and just to say that often when I share with people, we might do a half an hour practice, an hour practice, a few days of retreat practice, but I'll just give us a little taste. So what I would suggest is that just to bring your hands to make some contact around your chest, your heart space. And you can let your eyes close and just start to come in to where you allow yourself to actually feel your own touch. And you might notice how your hands are both touching in and feeling your chest. So you can kind of press in for a moment and feel that contact where your hands are touching your chest. And then also notice how your chest is receiving your touch. So you might just take a breath and breathe into your hands, receiving your touch. And just allowing yourself to be fully here in your breath, in your touch, letting the movements of the mind become more background and the feeling body more foreground. And we'll just bring in a simple humming sound. I think everyone can make a humming sound, and I'll just demonstrate. It's a resonant, vibratory humming sound. And the idea with this is it's not so much an external sort of performance, but we're being inside with the sensations of the vibration, and then meeting our touch, our vibration, and our attention all at the same time. So you'll feel the vibration kind of inside the heart space. So I'll just take us in here and you can join me.
Yeah.
So a couple more times. Nice deep breath in. So we just allow the sound to come to a pause. And just take another nice deep breath in, staying with your heart, with your touch, staying with you on the inside. And exhaling and just softening, feeling your weight kind of melting down into the earth, into your seat. Letting your shoulders drop, letting your eyes kind of melt in towards the center of your head. Allowing the crown of the head to be gently soft and open. And just a couple more breaths in your own pace, just enjoying any new sensations of openness, spaciousness, warmth, light. Kind of a fullness or lightness of being here in your body, in your seat. Experiencing your moment from your heart. As if the body, the mind, the senses are all happening inside of your heart. Beautiful. So we just notice this very natural state of how our own presence is aware of sensations of our body, movements of our thoughts, perhaps some feeling level, some emotional level. And we're also aware of the environment of the room we're in, of the space out beyond the room, of the natural world, all the way out into some sense of infinite space, the sky, the stars, the moon, and all the way back down into our heartbeat, our breath, just the simple pleasure of, oh, here I am. So we can just rub our hands together, just generate a little heat and bring some touch around the head, the face, the jaw, the neck, whatever feels good to you. Just bringing yourself fully here in your tissues, in your body, in your lap. And just slowly opening the eyes and receiving light and colors and textures. And
wow. It's very relaxing for the body. I would say the mind too, of course, everything. But something interesting happened when you asked me to place the hand at first, the very beginning, in the heart. And then I wanted to cry. And then the eyes, like, it's still like full of tears. Yeah, that was interesting. So no thoughts really, because I can't think of anything that I thought about, but it was just this very warm feeling that brought tears into the eyes. And
beautiful.
Yeah, really beautiful, isjaya. And it relaxes the body. It's incredible how it's the embodiment that you speak of. I know that you use that word. So your work, it's the website, core embodiment. So it makes sense that you're bringing that, bringing the divine, for lack of a better word, but that's a beautiful word too, into this moment, to whatever's here. The humming was interesting too, but I noticed the mind, judgments from the mind. Oh, how do I sound? And that was more external. Yeah, that was interesting to perceive that too, the judgment there.
Right.
Kind of trying to imitate your voice, and that I perceived that happening. There was a little bit out of the body.
Practice. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little practice because it's new and it can seem a little awkward. And it's very normal that the judgment will come in. Am I doing it right or wrong? Or, I always try to encourage people that it's not a performance and there's no wrong or right. It's really just that intimacy with your own internal vibration that can start to give the mind a place to rest. The mind is always looking for where to rest. And so when we bring the touch to the heart and we bring the sound in, the idea is that we start to locate ourselves here and drop out of being so much in headspace and, externalizing our attention. And so sometimes, tears come just in that simple reconnecting of like, oh yeah, here I am.
Yeah. How interesting. Like when we do usually, like I usually think that I am already connected, which it is the ultimate truth, isn't it? That everything is connected to it, the divine. But there's something about the attention that you speak of that loses its touch with that divine and just goes out there. And it's interesting how often we do that. So it's a practice of awareness too, of being present with what is present. The body is the main anchor for this reality. So it makes so much sense. And we are most often not connected to it, including myself. And I speak a lot about it, I write it, but it's interesting how I could really feel it now. Like the heart was like looking for the attention. And that's why I probably cried. I'm not sure if that was the reason. I'm giving a reason to it for that. But it felt really good. Thank you so much, Isjaya.
You're so welcome. Thank you for asking me. And my pleasure, and again, that was just a little taste, but it can be that simple that we just bring some attention and our touch and our loving, the warmth of our attention. I think sometimes it can be kind of these spiritual teachings or even the concept of the divine can seem very abstract.
Yeah, right.
And again,
right.
I think we are sort of in recovery from that disassociation that our human heart and our human being is somehow not divine or somehow separate. And so I think on this very animal level, when we bring the warmth of our own touch and the warmth of our own presence and just the frequency of our own sound, which automatically connects us to our uniqueness, we start to dispel that delusion, right? That illusion that somehow the divine is outside of me, or, I'm somehow less or unworthy of that, magnificence of just my birthright.
So I used to think that has been a kind of a learned idea, concept, that we are already the divine. So everything that is happening, the way it is happening, it's okay. But then I'm realizing more and more that to come to this connectedness or alignment with the divine that's already here, it takes practice. That's something that I have dropped for a while, practices, meditation and all that, because it didn't resonate anymore in a sense of trying to seek to find what it's already there here. So now I see that the practice, it's in devotion, it's always part of the experience of not really reconnecting, but feeling that divine force, energy that is already here. So it takes practice. Interesting to realize that now more than ever by doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's practices that are really more about relaxing without leaving, disassociating, but relaxing in. So it's kind of this participation, like we show up, right? Just even the showing up with, oh, here's some touch, here's some sound, and I'm here. And then it's more about softening our defense system, softening the ways that we're tight and tense and separate from our own love that just naturally is here. So I agree with you. It's not so much we have to seek for it or strain or effort or any of that. It's really more about just showing up and relaxing in and becoming available to feel and get honest with what's actually here. And then that intimacy starts to naturally emerge. Sometimes there's a grieving that might emerge because, I haven't really been here, and as we start to arrive, it's like, there's some grief. Or maybe we get in touch with, I'm afraid, I've been avoiding feeling something because I'm afraid to feel it. Or, like these very human kind of honesties that then allow the defense structure to kind of relax and our life force to start to flow again. And then those tears can become tears of joy, tears of inspiration, tears of creativity, when we start to tap back in to that wellspring.
So before we end the conversation today, I want to mention that you sent me another beautiful piece you wrote called The Kiss We Always Wanted, which relates back to everything that I have experienced here now and you have been talking about and guiding others to experience. I love that article. Absolutely love it. And just to have so many passages here, not enough time to go through everything, but you say, every moment of being alive is truly a miracle, an opportunity to open and receive the blessing of discovering the most intimate relationship we will ever have. So the way you phrase it too, it's interesting. You spoke today in using so many beautiful words, putting words together in the most graceful way, but you write also I keep using the word beautiful. I can't find a different one. It's just incredibly beautiful. So I would love to actually post that article too on the Fit for Joy blog. I'll talk to you later about that.
Sure.
So my ending questions. Before that, Isjaya, would you like to add anything else that we didn't cover today?
Just thank you for finding me and inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share. And, we could go on and on for hours. There's so much.
Yes.
There's so much. But, I guess one last thing I would say is that this whole journey of, what we call awakening and embodiment and this mystery of discovering who we are and all of this, right? I think what I always want to impart to people is that there is a tangible location. It's not out there in some abstract philosophy. There's a tangible location that I think we are designed to experience directly. And for me, it's our hearts fundamentally, and it's also our gut brain, our heart brain, and also our head brain, these three centers. And a lot of what I do, what core embodiment is referring to, is it's a practice where I take people through different sounds and movements and ways of accessing those inner brain spaces, where ultimately we can experience, in a way, like the sentience of our own most intimate presence, and how in every moment really we are at choice in how we're perceiving and how we're responding. And, the practice gives us a way to kind of clean or clear old traumas and karmas and reactions and emotions and things we've inherited culturally and, ancestrally, and to really access more of that fresh, present moment flow state that's moving through us. So I just like to tell people, there is a tangible location. It's in the core of your body, and there is a way to access it. And I really believe that is our birthright, to experience that natural flow and coherency between those centers. And that's really my definition of embodiment. It's like when your head, your heart, and your belly are all aligned and communicating with each other, and you're not divided on the inside. And then we can trust ourselves and our choices and how we navigate all of the really gritty details of navigating a human life. We need those three centers to be fully on board, fully here, and in rapport with each other. So that's really my passion, is kind of hand holding people and walking them, back into that space where they can reclaim that sovereignty and that agency.
Wow. And I love that. Thank you so much again, Ajay. Thank you a billion times. It's truly, truly beautiful and needed, because we do lose touch with even some of us who believe we have found the truth, or that we have found the way. It's still a practice. So thank you for bringing this to this reality, which is the awareness here now. It's something that I had lost touch with practices. Although these conversations about these topics, it has been my practice, my sacred practice, my way of being in touch with that. It brings me back to the here now, but in different ways, of course. So my ending questions, let's see. I'll ask you this one. What is another word for life?
Another word for life, I guess what immediately came was love. I when you asked me before we got on the recording about what my name meant, and I told you it means one who lives in the love that is life. I think that's my experience, the love that is life. And we often think of love as kind of this, hallmark puppy dog ears and, all soft things and wonderful things. But I think love is inclusive of our shadow and of the really challenging aspects of life. And so, I would say they are synonymous. And when we really, really drop in to that deeper intimacy with life, it's from the love that we're able to do that. If we're not in that, then it's hard to perceive, the horrors, the sort of the freak show aspects of life, in any kind of unified way. And I think it's love that unifies, as we back in the beginning when we were talking about the duality, it's the love that's the unification of all dualities.
It's interesting how we try to kind of push away negative feelings, uncomfortable feelings, really. It's something that I have been observing, how easy it is to do that when we are not in touch with that love that you speak of, which is unconditional and embraces everything. It really does. Mm. So my last question is, what do you love most about being in a human body?
Well, I have to say, I love the sun.
Yes.
I love being in the sun. I love cats, and I have a close cat companion in my life. I love to love. I guess that would be just the pleasure of loving, and not only the quote pleasurable, comfortable stuff, as you say. I think that my greatest learning and expansion and awakening has been learning how to love the unpleasurable, the uncomfortable, hard stuff. That's where it's like you really get to find out what you're made of.
That's so true.
To love the easy stuff, right? But I think that if we don't have that as kind of like a fundamental kind of compass of just the things that really naturally just easily bring joy to our hearts, like for me, being in the sun or being with cats or being with people I love, then it's like it gives me the resources to open to the more difficult, gritty sensations and experiences of being human.
It's funny when you say I love to love. I have heard, talking to non-duality teachers and all, and reading a lot about it, a phrase that caught my attention was exactly that. Love loves itself. So it's just in love with itself. So that makes sense when I hear you saying this love for the self and what this is. So that kind of brings that idea back, which makes so much sense, because love loves itself. Yeah, and it's in love with everything that there is. Thank you so much again, Ajay, for the beautiful work you do, how you do it, this intention to help others to see with clarity what love really is, and what it is and where it is. Thank you for everything.
Oh, my pleasure.
Before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, what you do in your work and services and projects and future projects?
Yeah. Well, my main website is just my name, isjayasummers.com. And I also have a membership, and that's coreembodiment.com, which is one E, not two E's in there. And I am offering right now a free experience if people wanted to go deeper into this. It's just called the Connected Experience, and it's a 5-day series of videos that people can sign up for, and they just receive a new video every day in their inbox. And each video is about an hour long, so it is somewhat in depth, but we go a lot more into what core embodiment is and working with sounds and understanding trauma and its impact on our development and all these kinds of things. But yeah, on my website, there's more information about upcoming events and offerings. And yeah, off the top of my head, that's kind of the most immediate thing I can say in terms of giving people a deeper experience for free.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll have the link on your podcast profile too. I'll have the websites and the link that you just mentioned about the course or program. How do I call that?
Yeah, the 5-day Connected Experience. It's just a 5-day series. They were live. It was a live broadcast, and so now I have just to evergreen the recordings. And but I think it does a good job of taking people into an experience, right? Yeah. Lots of pictures and slides and egg practices and all of it. Yeah.
So I'll have that link too. Thank you so much again, Isjaya.
Beautiful.
And we'll talk
thank
soon.
you for the beautiful work that you do, Valeria, and bringing conversations like this out into the world, and your beautiful devotional heart that's guiding you.
Thank you for the encouragement. The body appreciates. It really does. Thank you, Isjaya. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Isjaya Summers and her work, please visit isjayasummers.com and coreembodiment.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.